Hello students, welcome to Reno's Englishpedia. Today we are going to do the topic prepositions. In this video I'll be covering some prepositions like at, in, from, for, on, into, since, by. But the others will be covered in my second video on prepositions. Please stay tuned for it. Before we start a detailed study of the different prepositions, it is important to know what is a preposition. A preposition is a word which is placed before a noun, a pronoun, or a noun phrase to show its relation with something else mentioned in the sentence. In order to understand this, look at the sentence. The cat is the table. Does this sentence make any sense? Is the cat a table, or should it be the cat is on the table? Now, doesn't the addition of the word on make this sentence a more meaningful sentence, and doesn't it show a relation between the cat and the table? Such words which help to show the relationship are known as prepositions. In this sentence, the table is a noun. Many of you will be wondering, what is a noun phrase? Don't get worried, it is nothing but a group of words which act as a noun. In the sentence, she is scared of her brother's reaction. The words her brother's reaction make up the noun phrase. Over here, of is acting as the pronoun. Now compare this sentence with the next sentence. She is scared her brother's reaction. Does this sentence make sense, or does the first one make better sense? In the sentences, my mother cares for me and my mother cares me, it is clear that the first sentence, my mother cares for me, makes better sense because of the preposition for. Thus, we can understand how important prepositions are for a sentence. Broadly speaking, there are three main categories of prepositions, that are prepositions of time, prepositions of place, and prepositions of direction. However, there are many other categories which include means, agent, condition, purpose, reason, state, etc. It is important to understand here that the same preposition may be in more than one category. For example, prepositions like at, in, on, they are in more than one category. The first preposition that we will be studying is at. When we talk about at as a preposition of time, it is used to define a particular point of time. For example, we will go at 4 pm, at exactly 4 pm, neither before nor after. Look at the second example. There will be a party at the end of the meeting, not before the meeting, but at the end of the meeting. And finally, the example, the curfew will be over at noon, not before noon, but exactly at noon. At as a preposition of time is also used for indefinite periods. Periods means a long stretch of time. For example, it will be foggy at night. We are talking about the entire period of night when it will be foggy. In the second sentence, the house will be furnished at Diwali. Diwali refers to a period of days when all festivities will be in progress, and we are talking about that period when the house will be furnished. As a preposition of place or position, at denotes a position at a point. In the sentence, draw an axe at the center, we are talking about a particular position, that is the center, and it is at this particular position that we need to draw an X. In this sentence, there is a pot at the end of the rainbow. We are talking about a particular position that is at the end of the rainbow and not at the beginning. In the sentence, turn right at the next block. we are talking about a particular position, that is the next block. As a preposition of place or position, at can also be used with a larger place if we think of it as a point, a meeting place, or a stage in a journey. For example, I'll be singing at the theatre, the plane halts at Dubai before flying off to Zimbabwe. At these points, that is the theatre and Dubai, they are large places, but we have made them out to be points on a larger map. At is also used before the name of a building if we are thinking of some activity over there. For example, we'll take our lunch at the Taj, or last year I was at Harvard. Over here we are talking about certain activities of taking lunch and studying. At is used with expressions like at the table, at a meeting, at a lecture, at school or home, and such other phrases. As a preposition of direction, at is used with the idea of aiming at something. For example, he threw a ball at the toddler. We are aiming at the toddler. At is also used to show reactions. We were excited at the magnitude of our success. And finally, at is used while talking about rate. Apple is available at rupees 100 rupees per kg. In order to better understand the usage of at, let us compare these three sentences. First one, Rajiv threw the ball towards me. The second one, Rajiv threw the ball to me. And the third one, Rajiv threw the ball at me. Over here the prepositions are towards, to, and at. In the first sentence, towards me refers in my direction and not at me. In the second sentence, threw the ball to me, it refers to the fact that the ball reached me but it did not hit me. However, in the third sentence, Rajiv threw the ball at me, it refers to the fact that the ball hit me. Thus, it is easy to understand how different prepositions can alter the meaning of the same sentence. The next preposition that we will be studying is on. As a preposition of time, it is used with days and dates, a particular day or a particular date. For example, the school reopens on Monday, or I met her on a cold winter evening, a particular evening when it was very cold. The next sentence is she will turn 16 on July 8th, a particular date. And finally, there will be many races on the sports day. As a preposition of place, on is also used to point out a position on a line. For example, Delhi is situated on the banks of Yamuna river. As a preposition of place, it can also be used to point out a position on a surface. For example, the clothes are lying on the chair, or there are many patches on the wall. Again, as a preposition of place, it is used when we are talking about things which are attached to something else. For example, there aren't many flowers left on the bushes, the flowers that are still attached to the bushes. On can also be used when we are referring to some means of travel. For example, they are on the bus to Jaipur. On is also used when we refer to the means or an agent by which we did something. For example, she talked to him on the phone. And finally, when we are talking about subjects, we use on. For example, they had a discussion on Indian politics. We frequently face a problem when we have to decide between using in or on. In order to comprehend this problem, let us study the two sentences. She is sitting in the plane, and the next sentence is he is on the plane to Malaysia. Now, when we are talking about the first sentence, sitting in the plane, it is a static position. There is no movement. You are just sitting. However, when we are talking about on the plane to Malaysia, we can see that the plane is moving towards Malaysia. Therefore, over here, since movement is involved, we will use the preposition on. Another confusion is whether we sit in the chair or we sit on the chair. Now look at the two illustrations that I have added. In the first illustration, the cat is in the chair. We have used in over here because the cat is bound by the arms of the chair and he is sitting in the middle of the chair. Therefore, we use the preposition in. In the next sentence, we can see that the cat is not bound by the arms of the chair and therefore we use the preposition on, that is, the cat is on the chair. Let us also understand the difference between on and upon. On means a static position or when you are at rest, whereas upon is used when we are talking about movement or motion. For example, the cat is on the chair. He is not doing anything. He is just sitting on the chair. On the other hand, the cat pounced upon the rat. We can see that there is a movement. The cat is trying to catch the rat and therefore we use the preposition upon. This brings us to the study of the preposition in. In as a preposition of time is used with parts of the day or with months, years and seasons. For example, in the afternoon, in January, in 2020 or in summers. Again, as a preposition of time, it is also used with the future tense to show the period in which an action will happen. For example, in a month's time, the money will run out or she will be back in an hour. As a preposition of place, it can suggest a position inside large areas. It gives an idea of an enclosure. For example, she came in a car, or there were no students in the class, or they grew up in Mumbai. All these examples give an idea of an enclosed place. In is also used when we are talking about professions. For example, my family is in politics. In can also be used when we are talking about the state or condition of something or someone. For example, what kind of situation are you in? It can be used when we are talking about clothes or color. For example, all the employees are in black. It can be used with mediums. For example, you must sign in blood. When we are talking about means of travel, then also we use in. For example, the chief guest came in a Porsche. Again, at last, when we are talking about parts of something, we use in. For example, there are 365 days in a year. Many students are in the usage of in and into. Please remember, into denotes movement towards the interior of something, while in shows position. For example, the lifeguard jumped into the ocean to save the child. We can see the movement of jumping into the ocean. Again, the doctor put his hand into his pocket. We can see the motion of the doctor putting his hand inside his pocket. On the other hand, in, when we talk about in, we talk about position. That is, there was enough money in his wallet. There is no movement. It is static. It is just lying there. Ever wondered about the difference between in and within? In means at the end of, while within means before the end of. In order to understand this, let us look at both the sentences. I'll be able to pack all the parcels in a week, and in the sentence, I'll be able to pack all the parcels within a week. When I talk of in a week, I mean that when the week will be over, that is, all the 7 days will be required to pack the parcels. However, in the second sentence, when I use within, I mean that all the 7 days are not required. That is, that the work can be over before the week ends. We now come to the study of the preposition by. As a preposition of time, it means that not later than. For example, you must be at the school by 8 am. At or before 8 am, but not later than. It is also used when we are talking about means of travel. For example, we travel to Udaipur by train. Again, it can also be used as an agency. For example, this comedy was written by Shakespeare. By is also used when we talk about the manner of doing something. For example, she was hit by a stone. Again, when we talk about measuring something, we use by. For example, he is a junior to me by 4 years. By is used when we are talking about routes or passages. For example, the gardener entered the house by the back door. It is used with units of measurement. For example, bananas are sold by the dozen. And finally, it is used when we are talking about at the side of something. For example, she sat by me in the auditorium. There is a great difference in the usage of until and by. Until is used when the action continues up to a certain moment. For example, do not move from here until you finish your work. The moment when you finish your work, that is the moment when you can move. Thus, over here, only until can be used. We cannot use by. However, when we are talking about by, we mean that the action will happen at or before a certain point in the future. We are not talking about its continuation up to that point. For example, by next week, I will have finished all my work. That is, there is a certain point in the future, that is next week, by which I will have finished all my work. We can also understand this point by the fact that until denotes a condition, that until a certain thing is done, another thing cannot happen, whereas by will only denote the point of time by which the action will be over. The usage of the prepositions for and since is also a cause of great concern. For implies duration when we are talking about how long some activity lasted, whereas since refers to the point of time at which an action began. It is used only if the action has continued till the point of speaking. For example, when we are talking about for, the example is I have been teaching for 14 years. This is the duration for how long my teaching has been in progress. Whereas the example for since is she has had fever since morning. That is, till this particular moment that we are speaking of, she is still suffering from fever. Please remember, both these prepositions are generally used with perfect and perfect continuous tenses. In a broader manner, for is used as a preposition of direction. It denotes the direction when the verb shows the beginning of a moment. For example, Rudy leaves for tuitions at 5 p.m. every day. It is used to show the destination. For example, this deluxe bus is for Shimla. It is also used to denote the price. For example, she sold this necklace for rupees 900. Purposes can also be depicted by the preposition for. All these toys are for you. And finally, it denotes reason. The example is, she was punished for her deceit. Let us also understand the difference in the prepositions since and from. Since only refers to the point of time at which the action began. It is used only if the action has continued till the point of speaking. For example, she has had fever since morning. On the other hand, although from refers to the action which began at a point of time, it is used only when we are talking about an action which was completed before a given point. It has not continued till the point of speaking. It is used mostly with till or to. For example, examinations will be scheduled from 22nd February to 25th March. We are talking about it ending on 25th March. These moments can also refer to points in the future when this action will be over at a certain point. However, please remember that it can never ever be used when we are talking about an action which continued till the point of speaking. The other usages of from as a preposition of direction is when it denotes the point of departure. For example, I will be transferred from this office. It is also used when we are talking about the source or origin of something. For example, all the medicines are from England. When talking about distance, we can also use from. For example, the market is 3 kilometers from your house. And finally, while talking about cause, we use from. For example, all the old people are suffering from neglect. With this, I come to the end of my video. Please stay tuned for the second video on prepositions, in which I will be covering all the other prepositions. If you like the video, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to Reno's Englishpedia. Thank you.